Lin is the champion of Smile Cup 2. He's going into this as the big favorite. But if there's a matchup that he has some problems with, it's this one. Against Night Elf, definitely there have been some struggles visible. Let's see how he does against the young gun. 15 sway. Oh, oops. As a side note, unfortunately, we don't have our own camera control. I was not allowed to join into the games, so we are using the Chinese clean feed. That means I can't control the camera, and we don't have our overlay, unfortunately. But we can still enjoy these games. Our first map in the best of 3 here in the upper bracket semifinal. Northern Isles looking very standard so far. Blade Master harassing a bit, creeping a bit. We have a keeper and hunts.
The player's forces are under attack.
Nothing too spectacular yet. Ooh, the keeper close to level 2. Would love to get that entangle here as well. Pretty poor items. Cloak and Ring, not really what you want right now. Could be useful later, but ideally you want to have some mana and damage in the early game. Very good early so far for Lin. Everything going pretty much swimmingly. The keeper wasn't able to level too much. There's no APs, didn't lose any grunts. Got some creeping done himself in the meantime. Got some okay items. Ring on the Blade Master actually pretty good. Especially in this matchup.
Player's forces are under attack.
As now finally 15 Sway gets his level up to 2. Out of the maps in the pool, Northern Isles is definitely one of the better ones for Orc. As we all know, Amazonia, really rough. So is Autumn Leaves. Tidehunters also can be problematic. So Echo and Northern Isles, those are usually the good Orc maps. So Lin kind of is supposed to win here, if we're just looking at strictly on the paper. That didn't quite come out right, but whatever. Thank you, by the way. Sorry, boys, I missed your subs and stuff here. Thank you, Home Balancer with the 100 bits, Side with the raid from earlier, More Butts with a 13-month resub, Tony Capone with a sub, and Kerubic with a 13-month resub. Thank you, thank you. Shadowhunter, Lodge, and the War Mill. This is as standard as can be from Lin. 15 Sway cleared out his natural, wants to send over his Tree of Life and is looking for a bit of aggression here himself. He knows the Shaman aren't ready yet. Maybe he can find some kills, but excellent movement by Lin here this whole game with the Blade Master. The scouting is on point. He knows where he has to be. And the Keeper isn't level 3 yet. And before level 3, he's not that scary.
A player's forces are under attack.
Lin, interestingly, not sending the Blade Master south to... Oh, he's going Hex first. Going Hex first to make sure that he gets this kill on the Huntress. If you Hex, of course, you can't use Shadow Meld. Been seeing that more and more from Orcs recently. Go Hex first for the early Tier 2 impact. But that is going to come at a price. Oh my god, he's going Tier 3.
A player's forces are under attack.
What? Oh, big last hit for Lin. He gets the Hellstone. Also got the experience from the creep camp. This is one grunt for it though. Oh, and that's level 3. And now he has to boost. Yeah, speed scroll. Getting out of there. Worth it though, I guess. For the last hit and the item, losing the grunt. However, Lin is rushing Tier 3, so he's got very few units to work with as it is. This is a style that Soin used to play for a long time. Rush Tier 3, go for the Tiny Great Hall, and Bloodlust. The problem with going Tier 3 against Night Elf is there's not many benefits you're gonna get from it. Against Undead, it's absolutely amazing, because you can go triple hero and orb and Kodo Aura, and Berserker Training, which is all amazing. But against Night Elf, the Orb of Lightning isn't really that good, because it doesn't matter if you take out a few units, because there's so many. The TC is not very good at all, because normally he just melts in the late game fights, because he's usually underleveled, because you lose map control early. And Kodos can be good, I guess. But it's mainly about Bloodlust. Bloodlust is a very nice buff. It's not as good as some other tier 3 buffs. It's not as good as Inner Fire. But it's pretty damn good. Rah, rah, rah. Couple of aggressive purges coming in. We see a pretty early transition into Headhunter. So Lin is playing Blade Grunts into Berserkers, it seems. Entangle on the Blade, but Lin is hardly losing anything here. It's going to take out another Huntress. But 15 Sway will find some more kills. He's going to take out that Headhunter, and I think on the left-hand side of the map there's another Headhunter that's getting run down as well. So, actually, all things considered, quite a few of Lin's units did go down there. There was a Shaman that he lost. Blade Master at level 3 though.
A player's forces are under attack.
So then this Hex build is actually pretty cool. If you have Hex and Headhunters, you have enough piercing damage that you don't need Serpent Wards, really. And here's the Pit Lord third. Alrighty. Lin with a really cool strat here on the first map. It's quite the brawl here in the middle of Northern Isles. 15 Sway eager to keep fighting as long as there's mana. Alchemist close to out of mana now, but the Keeper has a bit more juice left, I suppose. Then also, almost out of mana himself. Ooh, and now that there's no Shaman anymore, these Entangles will be hurting. Very quick with the surround. Gets the next kill on the Huntress. Oh, and the Mana Stone. Mana Stone committed on the Alchemist. With that now, he has a lot more Heal Spray and Acid Bomb to use. Berserker upgrade finished. But the Berserkers are all going down. It's looking a bit rough for Lin. He's just losing his whole army over and over. Never really had enough mana and levels on the Shadow to keep his units alive. 15 Sway, 50 Supply. Could easily pump up into Upkeep here. Or go tier 3. Once he gets Bloodlust on his Blade Master and Pit Lord, the damage is going to be ramping up.
A player's forces are under
I don't know how far along that Master Training is, though. It takes a long time to finish. Maybe Lin felt the need to first get more Shaman. And the levels seem to be the problem here for Lin. If Lin gets to 4-4-3 levels, anything's possible. And here we see the Master Training. Rah, rah, rah. Shot coming up as well for 15 Sway. Big last hit. Goes to the Night Elf. Rope of the Magi for him. Not a bad find at all. Ooh, big Acid Bomb. Hits the entire backline. Wisp detonate. Not draining that much, it seems. These Berserkers are just going down so fast, it seems like. Shaman also taking a bit of damage. No lightning shields being used yet. Now we have the Bloodlust. Needs to use that on the Blade and on the Pit Lord, I feel like. Dude, this is just a non-stop slaughter. Shadowhunter level 3. When's he gonna get it? This is gonna be a big level up. He might be close. There it is. Trying to chase for more kills, but good detonate there. The Wisps are definitely in position. Using those deados when he needs to. But 15 Sway keeps up the pressure. Keeps up the tempo. Producing more and more units. And never wants to Lin freely creep it. I think that's the right call. With this triple hero tier 3 style, This orc army is going to scale like crazy, so you want to keep on pressuring. All the time. Level 2 in the Pit Lord. So now he's going to have Cleave finally. He had Half Terror before, right? I think. Pretty sure. A lot of Wisp coming in once again. Pit Lord taking a lot of damage. He's got the double rings. Heat Wave also. So many Wisps, dude. Jesus. Bloodlust not used on the heroes too much. That might be a mistake. Speed Scroll. Lyn trying to boost out. The Blade Master. It's gonna make it away.
Player's forces are under attack.
Kitchen Sway again with quite a bit of gold. Going for a lot of scrolls. Scrolls very valuable against the Cleave AoE damage from the Pit Lord, of course. It seems like it's looking better and better for 15 Sway. Yeah, especially with tier 3 coming in. He's going to be looking quite a bit more formidable here very soon. How is that grunt still alive? Thought they all died. Not yet they didn't. The thing is, 15 Sway doesn't have the best army. Huntresses in the late game, like the real late game, are really bad. But I guess it also depends on scrolls and upgrades. And those are looking good for the Night Elf. I think the last hit went to 15 Sway right there. Item going to Lyn, but oh man, it's a lot of units going down again. The Wisp pulls always super on point. The Berserkers are just dying so fast. It seems like 15 Sway is just pushing him to the brink, honestly. This is looking terrible now for Lyn.
Forces are under attack.
He's gonna try to go for the tiny, but that's a desperate tiny. Down by 30 supply. And 15 Sway sees it right away with his illusion right here. Some great tank items on this Pit Lord. Plus 6 armor and evasion and Wand of Illusion. Alright, Lyn needs to hold at this expansion for another 2 or 3 minutes. If he does, this could be dual, but it doesn't look like he has much damage. He's got the heroes okay, but he's only got 4 Berserkers. And this, this is just way too much, dude. This is just way too much. Just mass. Huntresses working out surprisingly well, I gotta say. Didn't think they would be doing so well here, but they certainly are. Trying to force a hero kill, purge, right click, focus on the Alchemist, but he survives. Good transfer of the invul, and I think that's it. Evacuating with the speed scroll. Alright, but that tiny Great Hall did not pay off. 600 gold. It was very expensive. Doesn't the strat work better with grunts and serpent wards? Because if you go grunts and serpent wards, you have grunts against the archers and serpent wards against the hunts. And maybe you can still try to go tier 3. Maybe. But then it's a problem if you go hex first, right? I haven't seen Lyn try this tier 3 style for a long time. Seems like it didn't work out here on the first map, but he's gonna have another chance. 3-2 upgrades on the hunts, oh my god. Quite powerful with all those upgrades, indeed. Here are the Wisps again. These Wisps are responsible for a lot of the success here in this game. If there hadn't been as many Wisps, this would have been a lot tougher for 15 Sway to do. Now we finally see the Cleave stacking up, but it just seems too late. Oh, the Blade Master about to drop as well. Entangle coming in at the perfect moment. Didn't have the Purge or Windwalk there to save him. GG is called. And 15 Sway takes the 1-0. And that does come as a bit of a surprise to me. I thought Lin was going to have not too tough of a task here. But, I mean, it was a very unusual style, right? The tier 3 rush. It's fun to see, but it does not really seem very reliable. So that begs the question now, which other maps are we going to be seeing? Usual suspects are Concealed Hill, Tidehunters, and Last Refuge. Echo Isles should normally always be vetoed from the Night Elf. And AZ or AL, or both probably, from the ORC. Hero tier list, Remo? Oh, did you miss it? Okay. I guess I can show it to you. Before the game, when we had to wait for a little bit, I made a hero tier list. So, if you want to check it out, boom. You can also check out the VOD. I'm gonna upload that making of the hero tier list as well to YouTube later today or tomorrow or something like that. Thinking about it a bit more, by the way, maybe the Demon Hunter should be A tier, by the way. Maybe I placed the Demon too low. I really do think he has serious weaknesses, though, in some matchups. Especially against human. Alright, we're waiting for the second map. Oh. Uh-oh. Did the stream crash? No? Make a critter tier list, please. That would be funny. That's actually not a bad idea. Maybe I should do that. I think the penguin's really cool. I think the skink is really cool. I like the stag as well. I think that's the way we all feel about the critters. The more exotic ones are more interesting. Unlike the, you know, the sheep and the raccoon that we've all seen so many times already in our careers. Although, I do love raccoons. I don't know if you know this, but I would love to have a pet raccoon, actually. However, I have heard that they're kind of smelly and kind of messy, but I think raccoons are super cool. All right. I think the stream is running. It's hard to tell. I am, of course, on a clean feed right now. Again, that's the reason why I can't control the camera myself. I can't show you guys the overlay, unfortunately. Because in the Smile Cup, they don't want to let anyone else into the games. But whatever. We're gonna take what we get. And jump into map 2. And indeed, it's gonna be Echo Isles, dude. What the hell? 15 Sway did not veto Echo Isles. This is normally the #1 veto. Maybe he vetoed Concealed. The Orcs have gotten really good recently at playing Concealed. With that Wind Rider and with establishing the counter expo. And if you can stabilize on 2 base versus 2 base, That fountain is super good for Orc. Not really relevant in the early game, but in the late game it can be. Sway. He's really been making more and more of a name for himself recently. One of the most impressive young guys, talented players from China. And Lin's still struggling in this matchup. It's been going on for like 3 years that Lin has been having issues against Night Elf. And he's not the only one, dude. He's not the only one. We all know, very notably, that Hitman absolutely is not a big fan of playing against Night Elf. It was first Fly last year who showed how to perfectly play Orc versus Night Elf. Especially the early game with a Blade against Keeper. It's so hard to play perfectly. It's so hard not to fall behind in. And that's what it's about. You can't allow the Keeper to get too far ahead. You can't lose too many units early. You need to be able to counter-expand reliably and quickly. Or push in a deadly manner. Which is something that Focus has been doing more and more. Go for a 50 supply push. With towers and stuff. Focus is the best versus Elf? I don't know. I will have to see more games.
The player's forces are under attack.
Late Master so far starting off with the ring, not the best for him. And 15 sway. Interesting creep route. Creeping the green with the archer and the treants. And the Keeper takes out the Magi by himself. That's pretty cool. Takes that item away from the Blade Master as well. But he's gonna have to walk a long way back home, I guess, to heal up again. Oh, the grunt. Oh my god, the double claws. Ooh, that is so good for the Keeper. With those double claws, he can hunt down these grunts super well once he finds the entangle. Normally, one reason why Echo Ult's pretty good for Orc is because it's really hard for Night Elf to reliably creep early on. There are some camps you can take, but it's always easy, normally, for the Orc to find the Night Elf, to harass, to slow down the Keeper, and not allow that level 3, because that level 3 is where all the trouble starts. He's trying to creep the Magi, but he's low HP. Ooh, there's a Wisp here. There's a Wisp who's scouting for this, which means the Keeper could staff in. This early game, it doesn't really seem perfectly set up for Lin. I've seen games before by Lin where he's just always in the right spot at the right time. Everything clicks and it's super amazing. Here there seems to have been a lot of downtime and not quite the perfect set of circumstances. Ooh, he's gonna level up. Oh, that was pretty cool. He goes into Windwalk, and he knows all the creeps are gonna go back to sleep, and then he can just heal up. It's kinda nice. But also the Keeper used this time, creeping up more, getting closer to level 3. Shadowhunter coming once again, Brute Strength, Warmill, Lodge, everything very standard. I think that's a good early game though for 15 Sway. I think this is way better than Northern Isles was, really. Home of Intelligence, by the way, for the Keeper here. He's been getting some amazing drops. Blade Master trying to cancel the expansion, but with the Keeper here, there's no way that's gonna happen. Right? Oh, or is there? No, no way. Entangle level 2, too strong. Hunter's already parked over there, ready to perhaps creepjack the Shadow Hunter. There's a telestaff, right? Yep, there sure is. Keeper staffing in. Is he gonna go for the Hex? Oh, no. He's got Serpent Boards, of course. Super quick reactions by Lin. Use the speed scroll and just barely gets out of range. Keeper tried to entangle, but he wasn't quite in range.
A player's forces are under attack.
Blade still trying to harass the expansion. Of course, he still can't cancel it, but maybe he can delay the entangling. Lin waiting for his shaman to finally come out so he can dispel against the entangle. But it's too dangerous to creep the big camp. He would love to just creep the merc camp here and be left alone. But 15 Sway knows that is his window to be aggressive. So Lin, if he wants to play it safe, has to just creep the remainder of the natural. And now 15 Sway is going to collapse, but Lin sees it coming.
A player's forces are under attack.
Dude, those keeper right clicks. They hurt. They hurt quite a bit. Feels like Lin's timings are off. Yeah, in this early game here I agree. I think the early game on Nola has looked really good, but here it just was too much inefficiency in the early stages. Normally Lin is so good at being super efficient with the blade and everything in the early game. That's where many of the other orcs will fail. But it's not a disaster or anything. Not a single grunt has died yet. The alchemist has not leveled at all. But neither has the Shadow Hunter. Throws the acid bomb onto the shaman, trying to take out the squishy backline. Keeper full mana. Not using his spells. At some point, 15 Sway will be pushed away here, but he still has some staying power. Especially with the amount of mana that he has. Second armor upgrade coming in here quite quickly for Lin. 15 Sway. Not researching anything right now. Does he have upgrades already on these hunts, I wonder? I'm not sure. One heal scroll at least is available in the shop, maybe even two. And these items will be going to 15 Sway. He's gonna need one soon. Some of his hunts here quite bruised already. But now Lin finally has a sizable army, which means the Shadowrunner should be able to creep that mercenary camp, I guess. And Lin gets the second heal scroll. First one having gone to 15 Sway. And the invuln is going to try to come in for the cancel. 15 Sway knows Lin may have gone to the expo to creep, but no, not actually. Or to the merc, I should say. Lin being very diligent, making sure he's in range of the expansion to save it. Blade Master taking some damage, but he survives. Need some heal salves here. Speed scroll used on Lin almost looks like a bit of a waste. Maybe he was slot starved. But again, all the units remain alive for Lin. Hasn't lost a single shaman or grunt yet, I believe. And little by little, he's trying to get his level 3. 15 Sway behind this, he could go into upgrades right now, bank a bit and go into 70 supply and push, or he could go just tier 3 himself. On tier 3, the Night Elf will unlock quite a few more power spikes. And judging from his lumber count and 50 supply, I would assume that tier 3 is, yep, on the agenda. There it is. Lin is really good at playing against big late game Night Elf though with tier 3. He always has the perfect right amount of units. He's going to go into Raiders later to have Ensnare against the heal spray. He's going to have proper control on the grunts. Lightning shields are going to be perfect. But of course 15 Sway is working with quite the gold lead. More than 1,000 gold for 15 Sway, and now he's breaking. Going into upkeep, and he's going to be at 70 supply in no time. He's going to try to line that up with the Potom, with marksmanship, and hopefully also with some alchemist levels, because this alchemist needs to level up. It's very important to have him on level 3 in the late game. I think now would be the perfect time for Lyn to push, actually. Despite the fact that he's down in supply, the second hero level advantage could lead to a good fight for him. And also, because we're on Echo Isles, there's basically nothing left to creep anymore, so I guess the most efficient thing for Lyn to do here is to push. Trying to keep the Night Elf busy, trying to buy time for the Shadowhunter to arrive. Another heal scroll might be available, or invuln. But that's a big army for the Night Elf here in a moment. Lyn also in upkeep. 62 supply for him. He does have the double scroll. And doesn't quite get the freebie. Doesn't have a dust. Seems like he forgot about it. No Orb of Venom yet. That's an important upgrade that's missing. We got the Kodo Beast in, but no Raiders yet. Blade Master getting focused quite heavily, but there is the spell available. The Kodo gets in to munch. And the Serpent Wards are going to start doing some damage. For now, focusing perhaps a bit too much on the buildings. Blade Master in trouble. About to drop, but he does use the heal scroll there in time to survive with. Level 3 on the blade as well. Should be critical strike at this point. Or maybe mirror image. Oh yeah, there it is. Nicely done. Gets out of the entangle with the mirror image. And what a beautiful timing by Lyn. Hitting right before all the things come together for the Night Elf. The tier 3 was finished, but not all the upgrades yet. Missing the orb, missing the third hero, missing perhaps even marksmanship. Oh my god, Lyn got so many kills. He might just be winning right here with this push. It was like 65 supply for 15 Sway, but apparently not enough. Did he cancel the Potom by accident? Wasn't she started quite some time ago? And the big problem in this fight was the Alchemist. The fact that he wasn't level 3 yet was really painful. Blade Master also suffering some pain. But he should survive. Question is if 15 Sway can hold here. Now he's the one down by 20 supply. This has really flipped around quickly. Banking now at 50. 50 Sway definitely has had quite a bit of gold to work with pretty much this entire game.
A player's forces are under attack.
And then going into more upgrades. Falls back to the middle, can go for heal scroll now, can go for invuln now. And the next push might be the killing blow already. The coup de grâce, as the French say. Oh, keep her running solo into the middle. It's a bit scary. But I guess nothing here to punish him. He's got some sentinels to scout for him as well, and seems like everything's out of stock in the shop. Nothing here for him to get. He's gonna have to staff out before too long. And the Shadowhunter just got level 4. That's a big level up always. Oof. He's hiding in the little nook. Somehow he wasn't found. And should be able to get the next heal scroll, I guess. I really like the early mirror image nowadays. On level 3. Yeah, level 2 crit is nice and all, but having mirror image at the perfect time can really swing a fight around. Takes out the Ancient of War. With that, production for 15 Sway is going to be really low now. And this just looks like too much beef in this orc army. It's something that you'll never hear from me at a steakhouse, that there's too much beef, but in this case, it does seem to be indeed the case. And we might just be able to brute force this tree. got a lot of normal damage. He's got some raiders. And I don't think there's Nature's Blessing. Looks like this tree is going down way too quick. Yep. Bye-bye Expo. And then it's going to tie up this series at 1-1. And that's more of what I expected. This time around, the early game for Lin wasn't even great, but his mid-game transition was super on point. The Expo timing, the movement, everything worked out really well. In game 1, he tried to cheese a bit with the unreliable tier 3 strat, but here, just playing it solid. Finds himself in a pretty unlosable position. But he's playing it safe. Lin doesn't want to throw anything needlessly away.
A player's forces are under attack.
Thank you, by the way, Tweb Balzaboo for the 12-month resub says best game ever made. Thank you, thank you. I feel like the big problem here for 50 Sway this game was that he didn't have the proper lumber economy. He was going tier 3 pretty greedily with super low upgrades. The difference between 1-0 archers and 2-1 archers is amazing. That, combined with the fact the alchemist was so underleveled, just made him ripe for the pickings, and such an easy kill for Lin when he pushed in. Bit of lightning shield, a bit of raiders, good for the chase, for the end snare, but also against the alchemist. If you can control the raiders well, keep them alive, and use the end snare at the right moment when he's using heal spray, they are a very good late game addition to the orc army. And at this point, Lin just so far ahead. How many grunts is this, dude? Like 9 grunts or something is what he had here. All, of course, with at least 3 upgrades. And slowly but surely this game is coming to a close. Keeper barely be able to survive with that invul potion. But not for much longer. It's time to die. There we go. Beautiful heal score as well. And yeah, this matchup just seems like it's most of the time better for the orc to mass on tier 2. The tier 3 benefits that he even gets are like minimal. Unless he goes for Tauren. If you go for Tauren and you have armor upgrades, it's pretty good. But too hard to transition into. And GG is called. Lin ties up the series. So Northern Isles and Echo Isles in the books. Those are both pretty good orc maps, really. So what's the third one? If 15 Sway didn't veto Echo Isles, I guess he must have vetoed Concealed. Lin vetoes AZ and Autumn Leaves, and also Tidehunters vetoed, so it should be Last Refuge or Tidehunters, I would imagine, for our last map. We'll find out in a moment. We'll find out who moves on in the upper bracket final. And there to be awaiting an undead opponent. Because the second match in the upper bracket is going to be PCG versus 120. Of course, there's one very clear favorite there. And that being 120. But 120 has been known to struggle against the undeads of Asia quite a bit more than one would expect in tournaments in the past. And I really think PCG is a lot better than some people think. His potential certainly is. But he's not always able to play his very best. And I imagine also, if you're an undead from China, you have a lot of respect for 120. Kind of like if you're an undead in Europe. Situation with Happy. Lin has been pretty vocal before in DreamHack interviews and other tournaments that he's really struggling with the map pool nowadays, especially against Night Elf. And that has resulted in some interesting experiments where Lin and other orcs have even tried to play Amazonia. But I still think AZ is almost unwinnable against a really good Night Elf. That being said, Lin was able to beat, I think, Colorful it was before on AZ. But then we also saw him facing Moon on AZ, and that was not a pretty picture. So where are we gonna go next? Are we gonna see something else? Night Elf versus Orc nowadays seems to be pretty predictable. For the most part, it's Blade Grunts against Keeper Hunts. But every now and then, someone throws in a bit of Dryads or Talons on the right map. It seems like 15 Sway isn't really one of these. Now on the third map, our winner will be decided, and the third map is indeed Tidehunters, which is pretty cool. That's the one map where Lin has been playing a good amount of Farseer the last couple of weeks. Farseer normally considered not really playable in this matchup because of especially Dryads, I guess. But here Lin was able to make it work at times. And I would be quite glad to see it. Always fun to see a few different strategies. But the cat is also out of the bag now. Everyone knows the Farseer is a possibility. And with that, maybe some of the intrinsic value has disappeared because of that fact. Alright, Keeper first. We pretty much knew that. Hey! And it is the Farseer. Okay. That's pretty cool. So, why play Farseer on this map? Firstly, you can harass the Keeper before he reaches level 2 and keep slowing him down over and over. You can creep very well with the Farseer once you do fall back and try to creep a couple of camps. The greens in the middle, the one outside your main. And I think perhaps most importantly, you can, with the Shadowhunter second, creep up the natural very easily and then play your tier 2 tempo lead with an expansion. On this map, much better than in most other maps. And when I saw Lin play this before, this Farseer, he normally always played it with an expansion on tier 2. The Farseer, a very good early game hero. Earlier I saw some people talking about level 1 spells in the chat. And I think they said that the Lich had the best level 1 spell in the game. I think the Farseer has the best level 1 spell in the game. I think the Wolves are the best level 1 ability in the whole game. And they will start to harass now. It's Grunts, by the way, not Headhunters. Those are going to be a lot more sturdy, are going to be a lot harder to be killed off with Entangle. And Lin even managing to get in a bit of creeping. This is a really important last hit. If this one had gone to the Keeper, this would have been a disaster. But Lin secures it. He takes some damage for it.
Forces are under attack.
And that should be Keeper level 2. Or close. Oh, actually not quite. Oof. Trying to see the last hit. That was a close one as well. One Wolf now away from level 2 is the Farseer. Or the Keeper, rather. Excuse me. Is he gonna resummon in time? Ooh, nicely done. A good bit of damage here onto the archers. The wolves can of course chase very well. They have fast movement speed, which is very unique for summons. And here we see the export timing for 15th Sway, but that's going to be a cancel. Too much damage here that Lin is bringing into the mix. This cancel will be a success. That messes with 15th Sway's timings. And still no level 2 on the Keeper. Lin playing this super well. Slowing down this Keeper as much as he can. And losing basically nothing in the process. The nice thing also with playing Farseer and Grunts here is, if the Keeper does get level 2 at some point, and you're in danger of losing Grunts, the Farseer has that TP still available, with which he can try to save them. Oh my god, he stole the last hit. He stole it with a Grunt. Lin playing out of his mind. Adds in the Naga second. No Shadow Hunter, nothing like that. Goes for the Tavern Hero to have the tempo right away from that timing advantage. Excellent game so far for Lin. This is going about as well as you can hope for. If he goes for Shaman behind this and expands now on tier 2, that would be quite something, but he's going tier 3. Alright, this is super cool. Lin with different strategies here, 3 games in a row. And I really like it this time. If you go Shaman into Bloodlust with Grunts, I think that could be really good. Alright, finally level 2 on the Keeper, but he can't really try to kill the Grunts now because there's too much damage. If he tries to focus down these Grunts, he's just going to lose the archers in the meantime. Like the one up there, for example. Beastmaster second with Bear. What? Oh, takes out the archer. A bit expensive with the chain lightning, but I guess it's worth it. Normally, when you're expecting headhunters, then you're going to go into Bear with a normal damage. Seems to make sense, but alright, pretty cool, pretty cool. Now the Grunts might be in trouble. But there's going to be a TP out, I guess, by Lin. Everything is super hurt. On both sides, I guess. And this Keeper is getting bullied so much, man. Has to walk back to the Moonwells. This took quite a bit of moon juice to recover all this health. And tier 3 rush on both sides. Alright, so 15th Sway going into Bears. And there's no Kodos to go up against these Bears. Oh, that should be at least one Grunt going down here now. Yep, with the Entangle. That Grunt is gonna bite the dust. Keeper does get the experience. Good last hit. And this might be an overextension. Everything for him is so hurt. He really wants to get the last hit. I don't know if he did. He had to TP out, that's for sure. One more archer to fall. But the item does go to 15 Sway. Big consumable for him. Now on the Keeper. Adept training, perhaps a bit late. Wait a minute, does he have the tiny already? That would seem a bit greedy. But I guess if he's got the money, he's got the money. Money, 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 money. Oh, he did! Wow. Super fast Tiny Great Hall. At only 33 supply. The peons are walking over. Very cool game. Very unique. It can be pretty tough for Orc to deal with Bears, though, if you don't have the Kodos. And as I said before, there's no Beastery, there's no Kodos. The Naga was very good early on tier 2, but now, as we move into the late game with Dryads and Bears, there she again won't be too impressive. So, Lin was banking heavily on early game and mid game tempo, especially with the hero choices. But he is going to feel that falling off. Of course, he's trying to compensate for it with the expansion. Does he add a third hero? Tinker! Dude, is this Infi playing? Which orc plays Farseer, Naga, Tinker? Cluster rockets against bears could be pretty good, just to slow them down. Or is it Pocket Factory? I don't know. It is Pocket Factory. Okay. What is the strat, boys? What is the strat? Purge is coming in, but there's a lot of Reju to work with. But both Rejus get dispelled. The Beastmaster suddenly in trouble, but he does have heal potions. And Invuln. These bears will be very strong later when they're available in high numbers, but that is certainly not the case yet. By the way, Lyn uses TP before, remember. So, this is gonna be not available here in this one. Tinker taking a lot of damage and is gonna be going down, but it's only level 1 hero. It's perhaps not the end of the world. More and more archers are falling. And the bears. Those are the big pickoffs. The bears are the big pickoffs. And the Dryads have been killed. Which means when the Farseer gets level 3, these wolves are gonna be really good. And this might be working. Naga completely out of mana. Lyn also low HP on a lot of his units here. And did get the Farseer level 3. Wolves not being resummoned yet, but soon will be. Beastmaster uses 1 potion. New bears coming in. And Lyn gonna fall back. Certainly gonna go for the next heal scroll. Tinker comes back. And oh my god, so much gold for Lyn. 1,000 gold for Lyn. I think an Orb of Lightning might be a good idea on the Farseer. Just for constant purges for lockdown, and also maybe you can get a few lucky ones against Rejuve. Although I guess you would rather like to purge that. Bears are strong, but they need to be in higher numbers. When there's only so few, they can still get dealt with pretty easily. Just getting right-click, getting purged over and over, the Rejuve getting dispelled very effectively. Staff comes in. Oh, the Farseer! Whew. In serious trouble there for a moment. Has the Invul Potion though, and with that will survive. Where's the Tinker? Maybe didn't have him in the group yet. Lyn is copying Happy's strategy? Is he? I've never seen this strat before. I've seen the Farseer first before. But this tier 3 with Naga Tinker, that's a first for me. What's the point of the Beastmaster? That's a good question. It seems like he didn't do that much. I guess 15 Sway on tier 2 when he was under pressure, he wanted to have a high impact hero right away on from the tavern, right? Don't know if there was a better choice available. At this point in the game, of course, he would much prefer to have a level 3 Demon Hunter. But that would have been a lot slower in the early mid-game. Oh, with the bears, maybe this expansion is going to go down, actually. 2 more bears coming in from the main. Now we have the good bear count, finally. 5 bears. Is that enough? 15 Sway is all in. He doesn't have a counter expansion. He will have to break this right here, right now. We do have the first Coda Beast in now. And yum! Gonna devour that bear right away. Fort Lightning level 2 also doing good damage. The Beastmaster almost going down instantly. We still have some purges left. These Quill Beasts are doing basically nothing. And yeah, the Beastmaster, not the star of this game by any means. And it seems like Lyn is gonna take this with his very own style. Super cool strategy. Farseer, tier 3 rush with a Naga and Tinker. Separating his army also in 2 different groups. These Dryads have a tough time, and so does the Keeper. Has to TP out. But that means the expansion remains standing, and that's the win condition for Lin. We still got 60 supply, 20 supply ahead now of the opponent, and that must be game. That must be game. But Vivian Sway is still trying his best. He doesn't want to go down to the lower bracket just yet. But I think Lin, he's got the... He smells it. He smells it in the air. The smell of victory. It is nigh upon him. With a scary 66 supply army now. Could even get some more upgrades. Bloodlust for the Shaman, for example. Kodo, damage increase. Way now supplies like this whole game. His problem was that he wasn't able to get big enough of an army. And again, these couple of bears just get taken out way too easily. Look at that focus fire. Stacking up like crazy. And a lot of these regions are getting just purged over and over. The Dryads stand no chance against the Berserkers. And with that also, the Wolves become more important. More relevant, I should say. Oh my god, what a chain lightning. Did you see that? That jumped across half the screen. Lin is always very diligent to not go too deep. Once again, he doesn't want to overstep. He doesn't want to throw away his advantage. But he is so far ahead. He might just be able to just push in here. Level 3 Tinker now pretty good at taking out all these buildings with the Pocket Factory. Then I have lost mainly because of the D tier Beastmaster. Is that the new meme? The D tier Beastmaster? I would agree. He didn't look too good in this game. In fact, it seems like there's only very few scenarios where the Beastmaster ever does look good. This was not one of them. And 15 Sway finally gonna call it GG. And Lin will win the match with 2-1.